So I'm here at Carmax today because we know that the car market has absolutely been cratering, and who is in the middle of all this? Well, it's Carmax. And the reason why I want to be here is because we need to talk about all the headwinds that Carmax is facing. We're gonna go through, see some of these prices, and really I want to dissect, okay, the new car market's bad. We've seen that from all the earnings reports from these manufacturers, but we also know that that is helping to crater the used car market. These dealers aren't helping anything, and really prices have to come down. But I wanna talk about, just look, this Tundra is a great example, and let's look at this. So what we know is that even the highest sought after brand in the US right now, Toyota, RAV4s, hot. Venzas, you can't find them. Siennas, you can't find them. But we're seeing that even on these trucks right here, Toyota is having a hard time selling them. You're seeing them stack up at these dealerships. And really what that's doing is that's hurting Carmax also, and it's really not Carmax's fault. It's the manufacturer's fault for trying to sell trucks that are too expensive for this market. So let's look at this right here. It's a 2022 Toyota, it's an SR5, it's a Tundra, it's got 18,000 miles, and it's $41,000. And really, if you think about back about 6 months ago, this same truck would probably be somewhere closer to $50,000 what Carmax could actually sell it for, because you couldn't find a whole lot of Tundras. Money was still moving through the system pretty well, and Toyota dealers were not having a hard time actually moving the trucks. But now you fast forward to now, you have dealers, even Toyota dealers, that are turning down some allocations of big trucks like that because the market is just not wanting to really buy them. Let's give another situation right here. This is probably the opposite end of the spectrum, but you have Ford Mavericks. Now, even right now at a Ford dealership, you're having a hard time finding a Maverick. And here's another one right here. It's funny because it seems like every time I go to a Ford dealership, I can almost never find a Maverick, but if I come to Carmax, there's always a Maverick. But here's the thing, it's getting less and less and less that I'm going to these Ford dealerships and not finding a Maverick. So even on the flip side of that Toyota Tundra, you still have something that's highly desirable that dealers can actually move, but they're actually getting them. So this special commodity that Carmax has been able to have over the last 6-12 months, because they always have a Maverick and charge ridiculous prices for it because you can't find them anywhere. Now you can actually find them. So they can't charge that ridiculous amount for these Mavericks. What I have even seen is that a lot of times if it was like a Maverick, so this Maverick brand new on a dealer lot is probably somewhere around $26,000. But what I was seeing is that these Mavericks that they would have that were used, that had 20,000 miles on them or so, they weren't charging $25,000 like what this one was for. They were selling it for $32,000, and guess what? They were selling them. But this one is a 2022 XL, so just the base model. You got the base wheels, everything like that. Is 21,000 miles, and they're selling for 25 grand. All right, so let's talk about another problem that Carmax has to deal with, and that's lending right now. And really, Carmax, I mean, they have a ton of vehicles, and they hold their own notes. So a lot of these cars that they're actually selling, they'll write the loans to their consumers. And this is a good thing to actually get people into vehicles, because they can be a little bit less strict on who they're actually lending to if they need to move more vehicles. Now, I talked to an employee of Carmax recently, and he said this is a great thing because Carmax customers, they'll go to these other dealerships. They'll go to a new Toyota dealership, they'll go to a new Ford dealership, and they will not get approved for a car. But then they come to Carmax, and Carmax will approve them. Now, this is good for butts and seats, good for volume, but it is not good for long-term outlook. It's not good for an economy where delinquencies are rising, where repos are spiking, where you're having credit go up and savings rates go down. This is a bad setup, and this is what CarMax is doing, and they're going to catch the blunt of it because, yeah, they're going to be repoing their own cars. They're going to be writing their own loans. And let's look at it. So we can see some of the monthly payments over here. So this is just your run-of-the-mill four-door sedan, right? It's a 2021 Honda Accord. This one's got 38,000 miles. The price on it's 27 grand. But check it out. So the challenged consumer, my finger's over it, but that's going to be your subprime borrower. This is what they're paying. They're paying 23% interest. And that's their monthly payment, $700 a month on an average car. On a $27,000 car, they're paying $700 a month. That's a setup for disaster, if not for Carmax, for the actual customer, for the actual economy, just in general. So when people take on that kind of debt, when they take on that kind of car payment, stuff's got to get cut. It's either that or they don't cut their other stuff and they cut the car payment. So that's why we're seeing a lot of these delinquencies, not only in the car market, not only from these vehicles that are getting repoed, but you're seeing credit card delinquencies spike like crazy too. So another thing that we can jump over here, I know I talked about it a little bit earlier, but new car dealers increasing their inventory like crazy, and we're seeing that. Who's the worst offender? That's these Ram dealers. So we're seeing that at a lot of these Ram dealers, they have 2024s. They have new 2023 still sitting on a lot. I've been to dealerships recently where they still have brand new 2022 Ram 1500 trucks. They marked them down like $18,000 and they don't have any miles. They're brand new. And so this is going to hurt Carmax too, because you go over here and you look at this truck. This is a 2022, so exactly what I was talking about. But this one's got 43,000 miles and they're charging $32,000. So if I'm not mistaken, that brand new 2022, the Ram 1500s that we're seeing that were $18,000 off, they were initially trying to sell them for like $58,000, $60,000. So you take that 18 grand off and you're getting pretty close to what Carmax is trying to sell that Ram 1500 right there that's got 40,000 miles. So you can imagine how Carmax can really get hurt when dealers still have these brand new 2022 trucks sitting around, because they're selling used trucks here. They can't compete with a brand new truck that's the same price or even just a little bit more. Let's scratch that. Let's say it's $5,000 to $10,000 more. People are going to pay that little bit of more money on that truck that has 0 miles on it versus that one that's got 40,000 miles on it. And see the same problem with this. So Stellantis, I bet Carmax's CEO, he probably wakes up every morning and maybe throws a couple cuss words at the CEO for Stellantis, just because he's making his job, I'm talking about the Carmax's CEO, very, very, very difficult, because Stellantis took the wrong turn. Like, they've made so many wrong decisions. I've talked about that so much on our main channel. Speaking of, do me a favor, check to make sure you're actually subscribed to this channel, because we have 2 channels and you might not know that this is a second channel, but you're probably not subscribed to it. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me if you don't mind. But anyway, Carmax's CEO has to be absolutely livid at the decisions of a lot of these CEOs from these auto manufacturers. And that's because really they jacked their prices up so high that it forced the whole market to go up. And Carmax has to follow suit. So if the whole market goes up, then they're not going to be able to actually find vehicles that they can sell to a lot of these consumers that are in the subprime area, that need help on lending, that their car payments have to be lower. And just as fast as the prices like went straight up, then they're going to have to come down very, very quickly as well. Maybe not as fast as they went up, but they're going to have to go down, and they're going to have to go down fast. Bubbles, what do? They inflate, then they pop. And we're in the popping stage right now, and Carmax is going to have to stay ahead of the market. The reason why they have to be ahead of the market and anticipate where it's going is because, okay, they're buying into this market. You think about the phrase like catching a falling knife. You hear that a lot in the stock market. As stocks tank, if someone's buying while the stock is tanking, that's basically catching a falling knife, and you're not going to find the bottom like that. You have to wait till the bottom really hits, and then you're supposed to start buying. That's the way it's really you're able to be a little bit more profitable, a little bit safer. But Carmax doesn't have that luxury, because right now, as the market's following, they still have empty spots. They have to sell cars. They have to appease their shareholders by moving volume, by making money, by keeping their margins. So what that means is that they have to predict where car prices are going, and they have to basically offer lower than what they're going to be in 3 months, 6 months from now, because as we know, if you're a car dealer, or if you've ever even bought a car or had to sell a car, cars typically need something done to them before you can get them ready to sell, before you want to drive them on a regular basis. And Carmax is no different. So See all those cars way back there? Those are cars that are just now coming into their system, and they have to get them, they have to do recon on them, they have to fix them, they have to clean them up. So it takes time from when they buy the car to when they actually get the car sold. So right now, if they're buying cars, they have to know what the prices are going to be 3 months from now. And if they think what they do think is that prices are going to be substantially lower 3 months, 6 months down the road from here, they have to buy with that in mind. So these cars that they want to buy right now, they have to offer substantially less than what they were offering 3 months ago. And what that can lead to is, see the situations right here, some empty spots. You see another empty spot right here. You see the situation where, okay, they might be offering too low of an amount because they think that prices are going to continue to crater, and then the customers are just going to say no. So Carmax is really stuck between a rock and a hard place right now where they are, because they have to offer so low on these vehicles, and they're probably going to end up missing a lot. I think it's probably a good thing for Carmax in the long run, but the next few quarters are probably going to be pretty rough. Their volumes, I think, are going to be low, and then in this market, they're figuring out that they have to lower their prices. So their margins might have to compress a little bit too. So you have less volume and less profit. It's not good for a publicly traded car dealership. Here's something that I walked past and I know I need to address, so I saw it out of the corner of my eye, that's why I turned around. So this is a 2021 Toyota Sienna Hybrid XLE. The reason why I wanted to point out this vehicle right here is because you can't find them. And I know that because I recently tried to find one. We were looking for a brand new van for my wife to drive. Thought Sienna was the way, and we couldn't find one. We went to a dealership and got put on the waiting list, whatever. And the brand new one was going to cost us somewhere around $48,000, $49,000, $50,000, somewhere around there. And this is something that Carmax has been able to do in the recent past, but it's becoming something that they can't do. So I said all that story just to bring you into this. This is a 2021 Sienna XLE. It's got 27,000 miles. And they're charging 48 grand for it, which is pretty much the same price almost that you're going to pay for a brand new one. It's not that far off of it, and it's years old, and it's got 21,000 miles. So this is something that Carmax could do over the last few years on a lot of vehicles. Your RAV4s, your Tellurides, Siennas, if they could ever find them. They can charge over new prices for a lot of these vehicles. And because you're starting to find vehicles like the RAV4, like the Telluride, that are actually on dealer lots right now, Carmax can't do that. So this is what I'm talking about, a lot of their margin compression. They could buy those vehicles and make a ton of money on those cars, but the cars that they can hit home runs on them because you can't find them anymore are getting, the quantity of them are getting much, there's a lot fewer of them that you can't find anymore. You say like the RAV4, there's a RAV4 right there. You can go to a Toyota dealership lot right now and find one. So there's no need for a customer that wants one today to come to a Carmax lot and pay more for a used one than they can find that new one for. It's just not happening anymore. And that's another headwind for Carmax, where everything they have is not gold anymore. You can actually go find vehicles, and it's going to get tougher from here, because we're seeing that inventory levels at all of these dealerships is going up and up and up and up. And as that happens, there's more availability for these consumers to go buy, to be choosy. They don't have to be rushed. There's no supply demand games that you got to play anymore at these dealerships. They really can't even use that excuse anymore, because our inventory levels, they're fine right now. They're fine right now. So Carmax doesn't have anything special anymore. They're going to have to make less money on their vehicles, or they're going to have to buy them better than what they have been buying them over the last 6 to 12 months. And we say it all the time in the car market. It's not about selling the car. You make your money when you buy the car. So I would foresee in the near future that Carmax is going to offer a lot less for the vehicles that they're taking in, which is a good thing for their business, not necessarily a good thing for the car market and for other dealers and for your auto manufacturers and for car prices. But it's better for the consumer, not the consumer trying to sell their car to Carmax, but all the other consumers that are trying to buy cars. That's going to be a good thing to put more pressure on car prices to push them down farther than what they are right now. But again, please, if you can, do me a favor and just check the subscribe button, see if you're subscribed. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but you're probably getting fed these videos and don't even know that this is not the channel that you're usually watching. We've only got like 40,000 subs on this channel. I'd like to get 100,000 by the end of the year, and I need your help to do that.